Alrighty. Welcome everybody to our training on the secrets of a successful tabler. This is a training that we run anytime we're about to do tabling at some kind of profile event. This time it's going to be in advance of our tabling at the Trans Day of Remembrance and Resilience event this Thursday, plus the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists Region 3 honoree dinner happening this Friday. Very exciting stuff, and I'm happy that y'all have volunteered for this. So we're just gonna get right into it. So, first of all, we'll just do a very quick name, pronouns, and prior experience tabling. Again, I know a lot of y'all have tabling experience, but we're recording, so for the sake of it, we'll just go through. Hi, I am Maria. I go by she, her pronouns, and I've done a bunch of tabling for YDSA FIU and for Miami DSA. Probably the most recent time that I coordinated something like this, it was for Miami Beach Pride this year, and it went quite well. We had our DSA shirts there, and it was very successful. If I could hear from, let's see, uh, Valeria, if you're able to be on off mute. No worries if not. And by Valeria, I mean Tomas.
Hey, my name is Tomas. My pronouns are they, them. And my prior experience with tabling is a lot. I've been tabling for the past year, I think, like every month for YDSA at FIU. So I have quite a bit of experience in this.
Ed, thank you so much. Then Sean.
Hi everyone, Sean, he, him. Um, I have a fair bit of table league experience both with other DSA chapters and then with labor organizing. Um, but yeah, always helpful to have a refresher.
Awesome. Andrea, I saw you came in a little bit later, so just so you know, we're asking folks for their experience tabling because we're currently doing a training on how to do tabling. So if you'd be down to come off mute and let us know, it's your name, your pronouns, and any prior experience you have, like tabling or manning a table.
So, Andrea, she, her, or they, them. Most of my experience tabling has been like someone who takes over the table while the person go do something else, like speak at an event and then have to come back. So I've been more like background setting up rather than person at the table to talk to.
All right, thank you very much. And then let's do Jocelyn.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Jocelyn. My pronouns are they, them. And I've been tabling for many years, since high school for different organizations and like jobs. And I have a lot of experience leading tabling from YDSA at FIU.
Nice. All right. Next up, we'll hear from Omar, if you're able to.
Hi everyone, my name is Omar. My pronouns are he, him, and I have some tabling experience, but I don't believe I've ever tabled for DSA before, so this should be fun.
Oh, nice. That's perfect, actually. Yeah, that's actually exactly what this is for then. And then Wes wasn't coming off mute earlier, so I think we'll probably move on to the next section then. So we're gonna get into what is tabling. It's pretty simple. Basically, tabling is when you sit at a table, hand out flyers, and represent Miami DSA at a public event. We do it so that we can support specific campaigns or initiatives or just to introduce people to our chapter and like help them know about Miami DSA. We can table at street fairs, we can table at events, rallies, or sometimes just on a street corner at any sort of like, public setting where we're going to run into a lot of people. Uh, so now we're going to get into like how to table. It's really a matter of like, first getting your materials and planning for what the event is going to entail. So, where are you going? who's your audience, how many people are going to be there, how are you getting your materials, and how are your materials getting to the event, and how are you getting to the event as well. We're going to use an example here of when we originally made this presentation from Miami Beach Pride. So Miami Beach Pride, that was in Loomis Park in Miami Beach. And this is a very important one. Number two, it's one of your most important ones, actually, your audience. Because there's different types of audiences that we'll see at these sorts of events. And as a result, obviously, our socialist principles remain the same when we're going out and talking to people, but how you go about it, what issues you emphasize, etc., will differ based on your audience. So in this case, Miami Beach Pride, it was mostly LGBTQ. It skews younger, and it's generally a group that is sympathetic to the left. So you're getting a range of, outright radicals who support us and like us, to kind of like AOC adjacent progressives, to like, some liberals or people that are slightly hostile, but that's kind of like your range of people. And so in that case, like we would bring a lot of literature on LGBTQ rights. We had our t-shirt that would said trans people exist, billionaires shouldn't. And that's what we would use for that sort of event. Also, how many people are going to be there? That is, very relevant to how much of the supplies you bring, like how many things you need to print, and just like the quantity of like materials that you need to bring. So just to get started, it's a pretty similar demographic for this Trans Day of Remembrance and Resilience event that we're going to. It's LGBTQ community. It's going to skew even more young and left sympathetic, since it is like a event being hosted and organized by a lot of kind of radicals. And so you're going to have even fewer people that are hostile to us here, and a lot more folks that are liberal to outright radical in attendance that we're talking to. And the audience is likely to be a lot smaller. I believe it's going to be like probably fewer than 100 people that are going to be at this event. By contrast, though, there's going to be a different audience at this Coalition of Black Trade Unionists event. And I want to see if potentially any of the folks here, who are familiar with CBTU, or like, are like aware of it, might be able to come in to like kind of do this breakdown, but for the event on Friday, just to apply this. That'd be any of our labor comrades in the room.
Wes, do you have any thoughts? I mean, I can speculate, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, if Wes.
Yeah, Wes, if you're down, it'd be great, but also I'll take speculation.
Yeah, so my speculation is that it would probably range from sympathetic to indifference. Um, oh,
Perfect.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
yeah, I would guess sympathetic to indifference. Um, I think that they would appreciate any type of organization that seeks to fight for labor rights and expanding the labor movement. So I don't expect anybody to be like really hostile. I think anyone that would probably potentially be hostile will probably just ignore us. So that would be my speculation.
hmm And I think that sounds generally pretty accurate, especially based on like what Wes is saying in the chat. Also, Wes, if you could say like how many people roughly you expect to be at the dinner, that would be potentially like useful also for this. But yeah, and I think for this event, it's primarily like an African American audience. It is primarily like union members and people involved in the labor movement. And so a lot of our like what we're talking about at this event would probably center around a lot of that. For example, in our tabling kit, in our big folder, we have like some, flyers from Broward DSA's Afro Socialist Caucus, and so maybe that would be a good thing to have like on the table. Or initially, like for the shirts that we were selling, we had like two shirts that centered around themes of like labor and also Black liberation, including our MLK, like, democratic socialism quote t-shirt that Mao designed, and also like the Labor for a Free Palestine shirt that Mao and Oscar worked together to design. So, that's like an example of kind of like catering to your audience and trying to like, have that in mind. So how to use your materials. In this case, in a situation where we have our shirts, unfortunately, we're probably not going to have them physically, and so we'll need to figure that out between now and when we have the events. When we would do the events with our shirts, we would sell them $25 for a shirt, give them away for free if you join DSA. Originally, here we were only doing that for the first 50 shirts, but because it's such an effective way to actually get people to join and sign up, we've just kept on doing that. And keep records of the actual sales. There is a sales inventory tracker that we'll be sure to print out more of and put in the kits. And it's basically where you would log any sales that are made and the method by which people pay to Miami DSA. And then, of course, giving out flyers to our upcoming events. And a very big one is pushing the sign-in sheets. We have a physical tabling sign-in sheet for anybody that is interested in Miami DSA. The sign-in sheet isn't perfect. People often have bad handwriting. It's maybe takes a little bit longer than having somebody scan a QR code, but it is just one of the most effective ways to actually get people to put their information on a page. And oftentimes when people scan QR codes, you have to like really get them to actually fill out whatever they scanned, and sometimes they won't follow through. And so that's why we've had the physical sign-in sheet for a while. So now we're getting into a new part. For a lot of y'all, some of this has been very familiar, even if you've tabled for other organizations. But now we're going to get a little bit more into selling DSA specifically. So for this, I want to open up with a question, and I want to get participation from the audience. How would you explain DSA to your mom or to your coworker? You can pick whichever one you want to do. You could pick mom if it's more fun. But I also added in coworker there because I didn't want anyone to be like, well, I don't have a mom. And it's like, oh, well, this was supposed to be a fun question. Now it's sad. But uh, how would you explain DSA to your mom or your coworker? Can anyone volunteer to give it a shot? Joss, go ahead.
Okay, I will do my mom because I actually recently got my mom to join DSA. So when I first joined, how I described it to her was it's an organization that, yeah, well, more importantly, a democratic organization, member run organization, not a political party yet, that is trying to, be a force in our communities and organize our communities for a variety of issues that, contribute to the socialist movement. We want economic justice, housing justice, immigrant rights, trans rights, queer rights, racial justice, and environmental protection, and environmental justice as well. And we do that from a variety of ways, through campaigns, through doing mutual aid work, electoral work, and many other creative ways. But we're member run and member led, and we're uh, a dues paying organization, where our members have full participation in what goes on in said organization.
Bravo. That is brilliant. And it shows your experience in literally actually successfully talking to your mom about DSA. That is really good. Um, that brings us to our second thing here, which is preparing a spiel. And so, Joss, it sounds like you have a spiel. You have a solid. Um, a lot of people, especially the more that you table, the more that you'll have that. But not everybody does. So basically, it's making sure that you can say something quick and coherent in response to a few common questions. And you want to be able to have a few in your head and ready to go. So we have here a 30-second response to what's this, a 1 minute response to what do you do, and a set of organizing asks for how do I get involved. So, for example, asking them to join DSA, asking them to fill out the sign-in form, or it's also labeled as the interest form, plugging our t-shirts. Let me just see here. Yes, and Jocelyn is bringing up a really good point that it's good to bring it in the context of the event that we are at as well, because you'll hit on issues that people care about. And we're going to help you out with preparing a spiel because we have a tabling script that I'm going to make sure that all y'all have before you leave. Um, but before we get into that, I want to talk about one very big thing that we should be aware of and not try to do. And this is something that gets called the illusion of explanatory depth. Now, it's been a while, been a couple months since I explained this concept. I'm gonna butcher it a little bit, but I'm gonna get the basic gist of it. This concept, the illusion of explanatory depth, it's explained with this example, right? So most people think that they know what a bicycle looks like. You probably see them on the regular, you've ridden a bicycle, like it's something that you don't think of very often, but you just kind of instinctually know what it is and how to explain it. But there was an experiment that they did one time where they asked different people to try to draw a bicycle from memory, and they asked them like how confident they were that they could do it, and everybody said, "Yeah, of course I can draw a bicycle from memory." And then they had them actually do it, and all of them were like wrong in ways that you like couldn't even like imagine. And so I just wait, hold on. I just messed up the screen sharing. I'm gonna bring it right back right now. Okay, are y'all able to see the screen again?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, looks great. And I'll resume it. Okay, now I think we're rolling. Anyways, as you can see here, what they actually drew was weird and incoherent and wrong in a bunch of ways. There was like and honestly, like I similarly also don't really remember what a bike is like. And so I know that all of these are wrong, but I can't even really remember why they're all wrong. And that's what the illusion of explanatory depth is. If somebody asks you, explain what DSA is, a lot of folks are very confident that they could explain it. But when you actually get put on the spot, you might actually run into some difficulties doing it from memory. I said that we were going to end off by 6:45, so I'm just going to breeze through some of these remaining ones. Um, so you got to have some things in mind of, like what somebody what you're going to say in response to when somebody asks you basic questions. What is DSA? What do y'all do? What have you done about X issue? And how can I get involved? Thankfully, the tabling script that I'll be making sure y'all have not only includes like a basic script of what to say, it also includes some prompts for what to say if somebody asks you about a specific issue. So if they say, what do y'all do about Palestine? We actually have a list of some of the events that Miami DSA has participated in with regards to Palestine, plus a basic description of what Miami DSA's political position is on that issue, so that you could prepare for that. Or if somebody asks what we've done for organized labor, what we've done for LGBTQ liberation, you'll be able to see that in the tabling script. And of course, how can I get involved? It'd be good to just take a glance at our, Miami DSA like calendar before these events, so that you know some of our upcoming events. But the most safe thing to always recommend to people is filling out the interest form, joining DSA, and coming to our next DSA 101. And then, of course, this part we don't need to talk too much about because these are both going to be very sympathetic events, but it's good to know in general. Beware the trolls. If you sense that someone is not engaging in good faith, you can just say, I don't want to debate you, and repeat until they leave. Don't take the bait. Focus on talking to people that we can convince. Now, there's some balance to this because sometimes people, like, might genuinely want to talk out like a good faith disagreement, but they might otherwise be very sympathetic to our program or to our ideas. Um, but you will often be able to tell just kind of how somebody approaches, and if somebody immediately comes across as like trying to provoke something, uh, don't take the bait. Don't try to argue with them. If you think you're about to come up with the perfect argument that's going to own them or change their mind, stop it. You won't. It's not going to work. Just don't do it and focus on using your time in the most efficient and effective way possible, which is talking to people that could be won over to us and could be won over to joining our organization and taking concrete action to advance the socialist movement. And so we have a little practice section here. I am not going to run through all of these because, again, I want to get y'all out on time. But just for funsies, if I could get one person to volunteer to be a tabler while we are talking to a troll, I would love it if somebody could. And I of course will be the troll. Please, somebody let me do it. Okay, Tomas, my soldier, let's go. Okay. Alrighty, so I'm gonna come up to your table, and you just like respond as you would. Okay. So, what's this?
Hey, how are you? I'm butchering it out. Can we do it again? Hold on, real
Sure,
quick.
sure,
You
sure.
see? Okay.
Hey, what's this?
Hey, how are you? We're the Democratic Socialists of America. We're an organization, a chapter here in Miami that fights for workers' rights, for social justice, and we're here tabling.
I hear that you guys are with that organization that supports 9/11. Do you guys support 9/11?
We support workers' rights and social justice
You
and
support 9/11. Are
support.
you a terrorist? Do you condemn Hamas? Are you terrorists?
If you want, you can visit our website and look
Why
at
don't
our
you debate me?
position.
Why don't you debate me?
Sorry, we're not here for that.
I know what? Oh, so you're afraid of ideas? You don't want to listen to somebody that disagrees with you?
I love it, but this is not the place. We can talk another time, though.
Perfect. Very well done. In real life, that would have gone on for another minute and be excruciating. But by refusing to take the bait, you made it so that it only took 1 minute instead of the next 30 minutes of your time. And so, with that, let me resume the screen share one more time. And I believe, actually, that brings us to the end of that part of the presentation. So, thank you so much, Tomas, for being our